So a relative insists on hugging or kissing your child, even if your child looks uncomfortable. What do? Stop. Yes, go is yes, basically. Right? Stop, go, or maybe. So another child takes your child's favorite toy without asking. Stop, go, or maybe. And someone is giving you unsolicited parenting advice. What to do? So types of boundaries are physical. So I don't want to be hugged. Please stay back. Emotional boundaries. Yes, I need my space. I'm not ready. So even if your child has a tantrum, for example, and they don't want to talk to you, don't force them, right? Maybe give them some space to cool off, cool down, play with their toy for some time. So that's emotional boundaries for them. Yes. Mental, yes, I don't like that, I disagree. So mental is basically about opinions. If someone has a different opinion than yourself, you can disagree. You don't always have to agree to somebody else's opinion. Don't make them study all day. They do that enough at school. Let's start the webinar. Few pointers before I start the webinar. I'm a speech pathologist and not a psychologist. So I will be answering all the questions, and all the interactions are limited to my field. Things like boundaries and concepts like boundaries are, the concept kind of overlaps in both the fields. So it's also a topic of psychology, and it's also a topic of speech pathology. So speech pathologists basically deal with the language of boundaries. We deal with assertiveness, scripting, and I personally deal with creative ways to teach children about placing these boundaries, right? So that is a boundary that I've placed in the beginning of the session. Great example of how to place them. So boundaries aren't rude, they're just something, an invisible line that you place before you go forward for something. In this case, before I go forward in the webinar, I would like to place this boundary of what my field is and what kind of questions are encouraged. So yeah, so we can start with the presentation now. As always, I love to start presentations with a game. All right. I want to see how many of you all know your own personal boundaries before teaching your children what boundaries are, right? So let's see. Let's just comment in the chat. Stop, go, maybe, right? And we have 4 slides like these, and this is a game about your own personal boundaries. So a relative insists on hugging or kissing your child, even if your child looks uncomfortable. What do? Stop. Yes, go is yes, basically, right? Stop, go, or maybe. Yeah, everyone's saying stop. That's good, 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 good. This one's pretty easy. Yeah, in South Asian cultures, it's so common to, for relatives to pull kids' cheeks, give them a hug or a kiss, even if they don't really enjoy it. So, yeah, it's really important to place parental boundaries and talk to the relative as well before they even take such an action. For you to place the best boundary would be, telling your relatives and friends about what's good with your child and what's not good, right? So yeah, yes, this is also interesting. It's a child that is dealing with another child. So another child takes your child's favorite toy without asking. Stop, go, or maybe. There are no right or wrong answers. We're all here to learn. Yeah, so Shan says maybe. Yeah, I'm also in the maybe category. Yeah, a lot of people are saying stop or maybe. Interesting. So I personally, I would say maybe it's because I want my kid to deal with their own issues, right? I want my kid to say stop. I might not intervene and say stop to another kid unless something really bad is happening, right? Yeah, so that's my lookout. But yeah, if you have a really sensitive child and you know your child best, so it's your decision if you want to stop this or if you want to kind of pause and wait and see what happens and how your child reacts. All right. Someone says first let them play, then intervene after seeing how they respond. All right. So this one's very common, especially in the country that we live in. We a lot of people offer us unsolicited advice on how to parent. So some so if your child is having a tantrum, right, in the supermarket, and someone is giving you unsolicited parenting advice, what would you do? Maybe. Okay. Interesting. Maybe. Stop. Yeah. It kind of depends on the context. Smile sheepishly, maybe. That's interesting. Yeah. With the kind of person I am, I might just like stop and ask them to mind their own business. Like that, but that's my lookout. Sometimes people are, really helpful too. They're not overly aggressive when it comes to these advices. So maybe sometimes if the person seems nice, I might just listen, or ask for a helping hand. But yeah, sometimes ignore, sometimes. Yeah, one cannot be uncivilized. Well, honestly, placing boundaries or like if someone wants to say stop, that's not uncivilized. Or like a child having a tantrum is also not uncivilized. It's a child who is having a tantrum. So it's okay if the child has a tantrum. A lot of kids do. And I'm sure, like, at one point, even we had a tantrum when we were outside. Because I remember when my mom took me out for vegetable shopping, I would be so cranky. And I'd always be like, I want to go home. I want to go home. The kids don't have the same patience levels as us. Oh, yeah. So that's the end of the game. I just wanted to gauge. You all did really well. And it's going to be pretty easy from here on. And if you've attended the previous session on naming your emotions and affect labeling, it's going to be a really cool session because this builds up on that. But then if you haven't attended it, I've also added a few slides to just to revise. So yeah, boundaries. The Psych Central says that personal boundaries are simply lines that we draw for ourselves in terms of our level of comfort around others, and our level of comfort might be different from everyone else, right? I might like something that somebody hates. So boundaries are very subjective and they're very personal. Okay, and there are many different kinds of boundaries. Let's go to the kinds of boundaries so that we understand using examples. Okay, so the types of boundaries are physical. So I don't want to be hugged. Please stay back. This is the most important boundary you have to teach your child in this day and age of internet and stranger danger. You have to teach your child physical boundaries like their consent, if they don't want to be touched, if they don't want somebody to put their arm around them. Even kids blur each other's boundaries, physical boundaries. So you have to strongly teach them physical boundaries and teach them about bodily autonomy, that your body is yours and nobody can touch you without your permission. So it's something that even I'm learning because when my niece came home, she's so cute and she's my niece and it is like we are family. But then I had to stop myself to ask her, "Hey Mira, can I hug you? Mira, can I kiss you?" Like I stopped myself from just like doing the act before asking her. And she's like 5 years old. So yeah, I asked for Mira's consent. And if I didn't know about boundaries, I think I wouldn't have done that. So yeah, when you ask for consent, children also know that, okay, like this is my body and they're asking for my permission. So they have this sense of control over their own boundaries. And then, like, when they go to school and stuff, they expect the same behaviors. That, okay, nobody, like, my Masi is not touching me without my permission. So maybe my friend can't do it either, right? So, and there are many songs about this, like if you've heard a very popular song like Please Stop, I don't like that, I'm feeling uncomfortable and I need more space. And it also says, don't take it personally, it's just a boundary, it's just a boundary. So it's a very cool little song that got really popular on Instagram. Yeah. So physical boundaries, I stayed for so long is because I want you all to teach your kids physical boundaries. Emotional boundaries, yes, I need my space. I'm not ready. So even if your child has a tantrum, for example, and they don't want to talk to you, don't force them, right? Maybe give them some space to cool off, cool down, play with their toy for some time. So that's emotional boundaries for them. If you are feeling really overwhelmed as a parent and your child is needs you and it's a constant, they're constantly asking for your attention, you can also place a boundary. You can say, like, mama or papa is not feeling okay at this time, so can we do this in the evening, or can I get like a few minutes to just rest and do my own thing, right? So you can also place emotional boundaries with your kids so that they know how to do it. This process in speech pathology is called modeling. And modeling is basically when a parent shows their child how to do something, not just through role play, but also through a real, authentic, lived experience of placing boundaries, right? So when the child sees you placing a boundary, they also learn that they can place boundaries and they learn how to respect respect other people's boundaries. A very nice example, Soumya, I don't know if she's here, Ranadira's mom. She sent me a very nice picture of Ranadira had drawn his mom having lunch. And his mom enforced a boundary where, okay, this is an invisible line, and when I'm eating, I don't want to be disturbed, right? So he doodled the entire thing, and I thought that was so incredible. Yeah. So it's not rude for you to place a boundary with your child. When you're eating, it's your personal time. If you need space just to eat by yourself, you can place an invisible line. Yes. Mental, yes, I don't like that. I disagree. So mental is basically about opinions. If someone has a different opinion than yourself, you can disagree. You don't always have to agree to somebody else's opinion. So because that's how we grow and develop. If we all had the same opinion, the world would be a very weird place. There would not have been any diversity of opinions. Wouldn't have been growth. So, and it would become an echo chamber. So, even with your kids, don't teach them to be agreeable. Teach them to have their own opinions and also respect other people's opinions. Yeah. Time boundaries, yes, it's also very important for kids. Like, this is not the time to play, it's time to study, or okay, I'm done studying, it's time to play, I need a break. Breaks are also very important. So this is something that I really need help with, because I don't give myself breaks and I really burn out too soon. So give yourself breaks. Even like parents, please give yourselves breaks. Teach your kids how to take breaks for themselves. Don't make them study all day. They do that enough at school. Yeah, materials. Yes, possession of materials. There's a lot of discourse on sharing toys, sharing everything with your friends or siblings. But some things, if your child is saying, okay, this is mine and I want this for myself, like if it's a toy or something, even like a TV show, respect that, because that's how they build their own identity. Like even material possessions are really important for identity building. So respect that. When you respect it, they learn sharing better. It's actually the other way around. Yes. So what happens when kids don't place boundaries? Difficulty saying no, confusion about personal space and consent, low self-confidence, trouble managing emotions, and poor conflict resolution skills. You would also see a lot of tantrums in kids who have more of like a fight response. You'd see tantrums. You'd also see like extreme shyness, low self-esteem, in kids who don't place boundaries. Because something interesting that I read was when you place boundaries, it kind of activates the reward center of your brain. So when a child ignores their own boundaries, they're not rewarded in any ways. So they feel a sense of low self confidence, low self worth, that okay, I'm having to agree to like what other people are doing. I don't have my own personal space or boundaries. So it can lead to a low sense of self worth and self esteem. Yes. Yes. This is always my favorite part. And I want to tell you all what happens in the brain when you place a boundary so that we know that this has evidence. So anything that I bring in these topics is always evidence based. There's a lot of research on it, and researchers from every field, not every, I'm exaggerating, researchers from many fields like sociology, psychology, speech pathology, they've all studied this, and neuroscience even. So I always like to see it from three to four different angles, and neuroscience is my favorite. It gives you the tools to identify it in your own brain and basically like experiment it right away, right? So what happens in the journey of placing a boundary? Okay, so your amygdala is kind of the alarm system of the brain, right? So whenever a problem happens, it goes beep 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 beep, right? And it's a big alarm system. And if you don't pause, you might just react. It activates your 4F responses. 4F is fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Okay, fight is you retaliate, throw a tantrum, say something that you didn't mean. Okay, then second is flight, you flee the situation, just leave that person, leave that situation, which sometimes is good. If you're in an unsafe situation, it's better to flee. So yeah, spot the problem. If something goes wrong, your brain's alarm system goes beep beep beep, and you hit the 4F responses. To turn off the alarm system, what do? You name your feelings. And that's what we learned the last time is affect labeling. Once you name your feelings, like, okay, I feel scared, I feel overwhelmed, I feel defeated, right? Your alarm system kind of turns off. Okay, so pause and check your feelings. Alarm system turns off. Okay, there is also a part of the brain, insula, which senses body signals like tight chest palpitations. It's like fast heartbeats. Sometimes your hands are shaky. All these physiological signs get registered, right? All right. Then, yes, the hippocampus, which is the memory center of the brain, remembers past experiences of placing boundaries. So, when you teach your kid about boundaries or when you place boundaries, their hippocampus stores this as a memory, right? And then it's a lot easier for kids to repeat it. And the more you do it, the more it gets reinforced in their brain. And the time taken to place a boundary is reduced significantly if their brain already knows how to do this, right? It's like brain gym, muscle building, right? Yeah. Then make a choice. Yes. So once your alarm system is off, like amygdala, you shouldn't always rely on your amygdala for reactions. You always need to pause and reflect and just affect, name your emotions. Affect labeling is naming your emotions. Affect is emotions. Okay. So once you name your emotions, your prefrontal cortex that is responsible for your logical reasoning, thinking, and processing, it comes back to its senses, right? So your cognition gets better, because if you just stay in that 4F response, you tend to react more than respond, right? But then once you do all of this, your prefrontal cortex gets back, and the language part also gets back, and you're able to place boundaries better, right? You're able to make a decision of what boundary to place, and then like you're able to place it, and then the reward system of the brain like releases dopamine when the body works, or like when the boundary works, if it works, because there's a nuance here. It's not a linear process. We'll learn that. Let's move on to our lesson.